Megaman has dozens of transformations in the Battle Network series. From style changes to double souls and ending on crosses, there are so many different transformations that Megaman can undergo in order to make himself stronger. I've discussed his double souls in depth in some previous videos, and do plan on making videos about his crosses from Battle Network 6 in the future. But before I make those videos, I started to wonder about a question that popped into my head a few weeks ago. Back when I played my Fire Soul only run of Battle Network 4, I realized just how overpowered Fire Soul is for the first playthrough of Battle Network 4, since under normal circumstances, you can only get it in your second playthrough. But the immense strength of Fire Soul in Game 1 got me to wondering, just which of Megaman's many transformations is his best one to use with a fire-focused folder? I'll be answering this question in the simplest way possible. We'll look at every transformation that Megaman can undergo in each game of the series that has an emphasis on the fire element. This means that we are starting with Battle Network 1 and working our way down the list to Battle Network 6. So let's begin by looking at Megaman's first fire transformation in Battle Network 1. Except we kind of have to immediately disqualify Battle Network 1. This game doesn't have any transformations for Megaman, and instead has elemental armors that you can equip to take half damage from enemies, or double damage if hit by the armor's weakness, I think. These armors provide no direct benefit to fire folders though, so moving on. Battle Network 2 is the first game in the series to introduce new transformations for Megaman, those being his style changes. Megaman's styles contain two parts. The first is an elemental type that is chosen randomly, and the second is a style that is chosen based on your own playstyle. If you use your Buster a lot, for example, you'd get Gut style, and if you use a lot of Navi chips, you would get Team style. But no matter what, the element obtained is random. There are two style changes that can technically have an impact on your folders, but these styles don't actually benefit fire-based folders specifically, so I feel like we should disqualify them based on that fact. But for anyone interested, the first of these style changes is Custom Style, which exists in both Battle Networks 2 and 3. When Custom Style is active, Megaman gets access to 2 extra chips in his custom window in Battle Network 2, or 1 extra chip in Battle Network 3. And in Battle Network 3, leveling up this style grants you the Custom Plus programs as rewards. The other style is exclusive to Battle Network 2, that being the overpowered Hub style. Personally, I don't think I've ever played Battle Network 2 enough to even get this style, so I don't have any footage of me using it. Hub style is ridiculous, doubling your Buster attack stat, giving you super armor, up to 8 slots in your folder for Navi chips, and 10 chips in your custom window each turn. All that at the cost of halving your HP, which is honestly a great trade-off. But again, this style doesn't specifically help a fire folder. Having access to more chips in your custom window is beneficial to any folder, and right now we're trying to look at transformations which are intended to empower fire chips in particular. So we of course move on to everyone's favorite game in the series, Battle Network 4. Like I mentioned earlier, my Fire Soul challenge run in this game is the one that got me questioning which transformation is the best one for a fire folder, so we're of course going to be looking at Fire Soul here. And when it comes to using fire chips, this soul works in a very interesting way. Fire Soul's primary ability is its firearm. This attack is used by charging any non-dimming fire element chip, turning the chip into a flamethrower that travels down an entire row, dealing 150 damage to anything it hits. That exact number of 150 is the interesting part. It doesn't matter what chip you charge to use firearm, the attack will always deal 150 damage. So if you charge a heat shot that usually does only 40 damage, you're technically getting an extra 110 damage onto it. But if you charge something like a black bomb, which usually does more than 150 damage, you'd be decreasing the damage of the chip. In addition to its firearm, Fire Soul does have 2 more abilities. The first is an excellent addition to help it empower fire-based attacks. When Fire Soul is activated, panels on both halves of the field turn into grass panels in a cross shape. This ability even activates while you have the Fire Soul patch card active in the Legacy Collection version of Battle Network 4. Of course, when enemies on these grass panels are hit by fire attacks, they end up taking double damage. So for example, if you hit an enemy on a grass panel with your firearm, it would deal 300 damage instead of 150 damage. Unfortunately, this ability isn't as strong as it sounds like on paper, because the grass panels are used up after a fire attack lands on them, which means that each grass panel is a one-time use. Still, if used in a strategic way, the grass panels available to you can double the damage of multiple attacks. And while you can also set up new grass panels by using the wood powder chip, we'll have to disregard that chip as an option. The point of this video is to see how Megaman's transformations themselves help fire folders, and wood powder isn't directly part of Fire Soul, it's simply a strong tool to use in a Fire Soul folder. As for Fire Soul's final ability, Megaman can step on lava panels while it's active. Normally, lava panels deal 50 damage to Megaman, but with Fire Soul active, he will instead consume the lava panel to heal 50 HP. It's a helpful ability at times, but the only chip that this even relates to is the Heat Breath chip, so ultimately, Fire Soul is really used for its ability to charge chips for its firearm attack. Moving on to Balnark 5, we need to take a look at Team Protoman and its Napalm Soul transformation. Just like Fire Soul before it, Napalm Soul is intended to be used alongside fire chips in your folder. This time around, our fire chips get a direct buff as Napalm Soul gives all fire element chips an inherent plus 40 damage. This is noteworthy as most double souls and crosses in the Balnark games don't give damage buffs to time freezing chips. Napalm Soul on the other hand does in fact power up chips such as the Napalm Man chips, meteors, and anti-fire. However, this isn't Napalm Soul's only ability. Just like Fire Soul, it can also charge non-dimming fire chips, turning those chips into a different attack. This time, the attack is Napalm Bomb, which lobs a bomb that locks onto an enemy upon release, landing on the panel that the enemy is or was standing on, and exploding in an area around that panel. The difference, however, is the damage total. Whereas Firearm always dealt 150 damage in the previous game, Napalm Bomb's damage is based on the chip being charged, dealing double the base damage of that chip. So if you were to charge up a chip such as Fire Hit, which deals 60 damage, the bomb and its explosion would deal 120 damage. Lastly, Napalm Soul can also interact with lava panels. For Napalm Soul, stepping on a lava panel while you have a damage dealing chip ready to use will increase the damage of that chip by 10 for each lava panel you step on before using the attack. This ability is of course much more offensive than Fire Soul's interaction with lava panels, but the interesting thing is that the damage buff isn't limited to fire chips. Instead, it can be used to empower any type of chip, so we'll have to disregard that ability for now. And to be fair, it's really difficult to set up lava panels for Napalm Soul anyways. The only chip in Balnark 5 that sets lava panels is the Lava Seed chip. Balnark 5 introduced these panel seed chips, which are thrown 3 panels forward like mini bomb chips, and then turn the panel it lands on and all panels surrounding it into panels of specific type. But unlike the sea, grass, and ice seed chips in the game, Lava Seed doesn't come in the start code unless you're playing Double Team DS. And the codes that Lava Seed does come in are a bit underwhelming as well, whereas Heat Breath came in the same code as a lot of fire chips in Balnark 4. So overall, I find Napalm Soul to be a bit awkward to use, whereas Fire Soul does have a strong folder it can use with every chip in the same code. Now, let's move on to Balnark 6. Unlike previous games, Balnark 6 actually has 2 fire element crosses in Gregor version. The first is Heat Cross, which is obtained early on in the game. Heat Cross provides all non-dimming fire chips with plus 50 damage. This is of course higher than Napalm Soul's plus 40, but it's also all that Heat Cross itself gets. Ironically, the Beast Out mechanic in Balnark 6 actually allows you to technically turn non-dimming null chips into a fire attack if you charge them while Heat Beast is active. In this way, we can say that Heat Beast is pretty good for fire folders as it gives fire chips plus 50 damage and turns non-dimming chips into fire attacks. The second fire element cross in the game is Charge Cross, which is one of the last ones you obtain. Just like Napalm Soul, Charge Cross lets you charge non-dimming fire element chips. However, unlike Napalm Soul, this charge doesn't double the damage of fire chips. Rather, it charges up slowly over 8.5 seconds, giving the chip up to 100 extra damage. In this way, it technically provides double the damage buff that Heat Cross provides. In addition, Charge Cross also gives you an extra chip in your custom window at the end of each turn. However, as we stated earlier, an ability like that benefits all folders, not just fire-based folders, so we won't be taking it into consideration. As for the interactions with lava panels, there aren't any. Unfortunately, lava panels no longer exist in Balnark 6, so neither Heat nor Charge Cross can have any interactions with them. It really is just 50 extra damage on fire chips for Heat Cross, and up to 100 extra damage after a very slow charge period using Charge Cross. So with all the information gathered, Which of these transformations is the best one for a fire folder? Well, the answer is that I'm being a bit deceitful. I mean, I've tried wording this script as carefully as I can to avoid lying outright, but the fact is that I've been leading you to believe that one of these fire transformations is the best one for fire-based folders. But as it turns out, that simply isn't the case. Fire Soul isn't bad by any means, but all it can do is charge chips to turn them into a 150 damage firearm. Heat Cross gets plus 50 damage on non-dimming fire chips, and literally nothing else other than an unrelated buster stat modifier. Charge Cross gets up to an extra 100 damage on a fire chip, but requires you to charge it for nearly an entire turn. So ironically, given this list of fire transformations so far, we would have to say that Napalm Soul is the best fire transformation. This is because it can charge fire chips to double their damage rather than giving them set damage, and its plus 40 damage to fire chips works on all fire chips rather than just on the non-dimming ones. But Napalm Soul actually gets outclassed by another soul in the same game, just in the opposite version. Some of you may have seen this one coming. The definitive best Megaman transformation for use with a fire folder is none other than Tomahawk Soul from Balnaric 5. I know, it's weird that the best fire transformation is actually wood element, but hear me out. Remember how I said Fire Soul setting grass panels is really good because it lets you double the damage of fire attacks, but isn't as strong as it could be since the panels are set up in a cross pattern and can only be set up once? Well, Tomahawk Soul takes this idea and makes it so much better. When Tomahawk Soul is activated, every panel on the field becomes a grass panel. This is an ability called Set Green, and technically it's supposed to be used to make wood chips stronger. Because when Megaman is standing on grass panels while Tomahawk Soul is active, Megaman can absorb that grass panel to make non-dimming wood element chips deal double damage. However, since Set Green also makes the opposing half of the field turn into grass panels as well, you can use fire chips with Tomahawk Soul and also get double damage without having to charge the chips the way Napalm Soul would have to. And yet, it somehow still gets better, because not only can you set up these grass panels by using Tomahawk Soul, but you can also reset them by going into Chaos Tomahawk Unison. This means that you could go into Tomahawk Soul, use fire chips to use up all of your opponent's grass panels, and then go into Chaos Tomahawk to set them up again. And personally, I don't think this is cheating. To me, Chaos Unisons are just an extra turn of a double soul that have a different charge attack than usual. Speaking of charge attacks, and I'll admit that this one is a little unfair to bring up, Tomahawk Soul's charge attack works perfectly with area grab as it hits enemies in a 2x3 area in front of you. And it just so happens that area grab is also a great setup tool for the hot body chips, as hot body requires you to be on a panel that is adjacent to or directly diagonal to an enemy. This of course means that Tomahawk Soul is pretty good with the hot body chip, especially since hot body 3 comes in the S code, just like half the other chips in Balnaric 5. And lastly, I do have an honorable mention. Yes, I know those are supposed to come before I announce the winner, but we kind of needed to discuss that Set Green ability in advance, because our honorable mention here is actually one of the style changes from Balnaric 3. If you play white version, your one and only advantage over blue version is access to ground style. This style is obtained from using panel affecting chips such as those amazing panel out chips that you definitely don't get rid of as soon as you can. Now, ground style itself doesn't do anything for fire chips. All it does is make your charge attacks crack enemy panels. But leveling up ground style gives you the set panel programs for the Navi customizer, with the first one you obtain being Set Green. If this sounds familiar, that's because this is the Navi Cust program version of the ability Tomahawk Soul got 2 games later. When this program is active, all normal panels will be turned into grass panels at the start of a battle. Unfortunately, this ability only activates one time, so once you've burned up a grass panel, it's gone for good. But you can use the grass field chip to replenish the grass, so once again, that's unrelated to ground style. So overall, I have to say that it's definitely Tomahawk Soul that's the best transformation for fire-based folders. Of course, you can disagree with me, and if you do, please feel free to say so in the comments. I enjoy having conversations about these niche topics, which is a major reason why I like making videos like this one. And of course, since I did make this video about transformations for fire folders, I'll have to do the same to discuss the other main elements as well. So to guarantee that you'll see my videos about the best transformations for Aqua, Elec, and Wood Element folders on your YouTube homepage, make sure to subscribe to my channel. And as always, thanks for watching.